Hey guys, welcome to the new episode of Kingdom Konvo, and it's about forgiveness again. So, the key to forgiveness, even though they don't say sorry. And God spoke to me some days ago, and I wanted to share on this episode today. And I felt like God wanted me to share it to you guys, and God revealed something great to me and about forgiveness, because I've already done an episode about forgiveness, by the way. And it's just crazy how God works and give revelation on his own time. So before we start, I want you guys to subscribe to this channel if you're new here. I'm your host, Kitara, and we are going to dive in, and we always have a real talk about real life things. So, subscribe and like, share this video when we are done, of course, and let's head into the topic of forgiveness. Again, how to forgive even though they don't say sorry. So, real life, I've been through some trials and some tribulations the past year, and I had a lot of opportunities to forgive and redirect. And this year, God has been testing my pride, has been testing my heart to see how much I can forgive and how far can I go while forgiving. For example, this year, last year, my friendship ended last year. Multiple friendships ended last year, but one of the friendship that ended last year ended badly. And um I remember that I really didn't understand why it ended, but in all things we give grace and thanks to God. So a few months ago, I remember God trying to test me if I had forgiven that person. And I was going to work and go in to bring my stuff because I was done with that work. And I was going to leave my phone and my laptop at the headquarters of my job. And I saw that friend. And I remember, I think that friend also saw me. And I was in a car and the friend was walking. And I drove past her and she walked past me. And I remember something happened in my spirit. And God asked me, "Can you approach her?" And I don't know how to explain it, but God said, like, God brought this opportunity to me. Like, are you still angry at her? Or are you still angry at what happened? Are you able to say hello? Are you able to reconcile why I have commanded you all to do? And I remember I parked my car and I yelled out this friend's name and I asked her genuinely, like, "Oh, how are you? How are things?" And I kept it short, but I didn't feel any resentment towards that person. And God really wanted to see my heart, if I was still bitter or angry, or was I able to show his love even though it it hasn't been in return. And I was like, "Hey, I passed that test. I was able to talk to that person, and actually there's nothing left. There's no resentment, there's no anything, and we move on in our lives." So time went on, and some days ago, God brought it up again. Forgiveness. I've been having dreams about a specific person asking for forgiveness for months on end. I don't understand why I would get those dreams, but it wasn't like I wanted that person to ask for forgiveness. I actually didn't want to speak to that person anymore. After a while, I softened up and I actually forgive I forgave that person in my heart, and I let all the things that happened go. But God told me that wasn't enough. And I asked God, why it wasn't isn't that enough? I have forgiven the person, right? And God told me, "Look at how I forgave you. Didn't I make sure, even though 2,000 years later, that you still know that you're forgiven? Did I say I forgive you in your heart, in my heart? That Jesus said he forgives us in his heart. He probably did, but he made sure to let us know that he has forgiven us. It's not only what he said, but also what he did. And it's so emotional to me because it really touched me. And I was like, God, you're right. And I was reading, God revealed Matthew chapter 5, verse 23 to 24. And it says, like, if you're going to the altar and you have something with your brother, you have to leave everything at the altar and reconcile with your friend or with your brother. So God doesn't want our worship, God doesn't want our gifting, God doesn't want anything if we still haven't reconciled with the people we had a problem with, even though we have forgiven them in their heart. It is our duty to let that person know in our ways, in a way that what we say, that we have forgiven them. So there's no doubt in their at their end that you haven't forgiven them. So God showed me that you forgive someone if you have the opportunity to talk to them and ask them, oh, maybe how are you? Or you have forgiven them. But they have to know, I have a sign that you have reconciled, that when you see them, you don't have to ignore them. When you see them, you don't have to hide or act like strangers, but he or she can still be your brother and sister. And that was God's way of telling me that, yes, you think you have forgiven, but you haven't forgiven completely. Because honestly, I had forgiven in my heart, but God forbid me talking to that person again. I have forgiven in my heart, but God forbid me texting that person again. And God is saying, see, that's the part I need. That part is still prideful. That part hasn't let it go. And I need it. I need it for I need your hearts. I need it. I need to know that I can trust you. If you are dealing with human beings and you enter rooms and you're going to deal with a lot of people, I need to know you have the heart to forgive. So God was saying, you have forgiven that person, but does the person know? And honestly, I don't think the person knew. So I was writing a message and I prayed about it. And I knew that maybe I would get a response or no response. Maybe I would get an insult, but it wasn't about the response. It was about the obedience. It was about the cleansing of my heart, the softening of my heart towards people, having mercy. It really took a lot. Honestly, it took a lot, but it was the best decision ever. It really showed me that God never waited for our response. When Jesus was hanging on the cross, he said, Father, forgive them because they don't know what they are doing. While being spit on, while being yelled upon, while being humiliated, ignored, but he still forgave without hearing a sorry, without having something in return. Because honestly, I thought maybe the person will apologize. That's why I'm seeing those dreams. Maybe the person would apologize at their own time, but I knew that God wanted me to forgive without even hearing an apology. Can you even give grace when there's no apology? Can you follow my example how I gave forgiveness without receiving anything in return? And there's a song called Refiner, and we sing that song all the time. I don't want to sing a lot because it would copyright this video. And when we are singing those songs, then when God cleanses your hands and purifies your heart, and the song's called Refiner, and we want to be tried by fire, we will go through hard things. We will face hard situations will that will purify our hearts, that will cleanse our hands. And God was pushing me through purification, cleansing me. And it shows others that what real forgiveness is and what real Christian love is. Unlimited, no bounds, unlimited, undeserving,